Alright, so I guess I'll go over my deck list and why I chose them for the tournament. I went over the VODs and built delays decks whenever I played them. I didn't have time for the other people. TSM Boku no Pico. Wow, that's a terrible name. Thank you so much for subscribing, man. Welcome, welcome. So anyways, the first round of the first stage was Swiss, right? And so I expected mostly Zoo was the most popular, or Druid and Zoo were the most popular decks. I thought there would be some Secret Paladin and a decent amount of Patron. So I tried to build decks that were good against both of those, or all of those. Yeah, so basically the first round of Swiss, or the first stage of the tournament was Swiss, so I decided to go with Control Warrior and Rogue and Druid. Because Druid was like, I don't know, very consistent. I went with Double War build because I went with Double War Druid because I expected so much Druid and Zoo, and Double War is better against both Zoo and Druid. It's also good against Secret Paladin. It's just like overall better against the expected field. It's worse against Control Warrior in my opinion, and things like that, but I didn't expect much of that. I think it's also better against Patron. It's about on par with Patron. So I expected like this was like the best Druid build that I could find. Obviously I didn't need double Drake because I was running Double War and Double Lore and a Sylvanas. That's like a lot of heavy drops already. So it wasn't really necessary. Yeah, just like really basic standard build of Druid. With Double War, just to beat Zoo more consistently. It was the most, I don't know. This Druid build was probably the thing that got me the furthest. Although I didn't win that many games with it, it was like really good. And then I brought Malagos Rogue. I brought Van Cleef because I expected Zoo. It's okay against Druid as well. If you make it a 4/4, it's fine. I also figured that it was fine because if they silence Van Cleef, I could play Malagos decent. I didn't want Oil Rogue because like I feel like Oil Rogue is just like not as good against Zoo. And I asked Nyria and he said that Oil was like his stats. He said that Oil was worse against Zoo than Malagos, but Oil was better against Druid. But I decided to go with Oil or with Malagos anyways. A lot of people chastise me for this, but I don't know. I still don't know which is better. I think it's fine. I think they're like very, very close, so it doesn't really matter that much. Then I went with Control Warrior, really standard, one Deathlord, just to kind of mess people up, especially when they're watching VODs and asking people. They're like, oh yeah, he runs Deathlords, by the way. Because then the Deathlord variant usually only runs like one Pain, and Deathlord's like pretty good against aggro, so I decided to run one. So that's what I did for the groups, and it worked pretty well. I went 6-1. The only game I lost was to Ness, who I lost in the finals, but I lost 3-0 because he druided me and got Wild Growth, Innervate, Emperor every single game. 2 games, and then the other game he got Wild Growth into Innervate, Coin, Lore or something. Yeah, that kind of sucked. But anyways, so that's what I brought the first stage, and it worked well. I was pretty happy. Shexor SC2, thank you so much for subscribing, man. Welcome to the Pack Game Club, Pound Town. Really appreciate it. And then the second day, I was like, or second and third day, I guess, right? I was in groups and I was like, all right, the only way I'm ever going to lose is if I get druided, right? So I was like, all right, how do I beat that? Temple Mage is the only thing that came to mind. It's really shit against Zoo, but I looked at the players in the top 16 and most of them didn't play Zoo. Like Zixo was the only one, I think. Zixo and Zelay were like the only one. So I was really hoping not to get matched up against Zelay in the round of 8. But I did anyways, but I ended up winning because I drew decently with Malagos Rogue. But yeah, I ended up going with this list. Duplicate and Mirror Entity. Mirror Entity is just too good against Druid. Counterspell is kind of shit. I mean, it gets countered by a lot. It ended up working out, at least with the Tempo Mage. I was happy with the list for sure. I just kind of like came up with it on the spot. I mean, there's really not much to change about it, right? Like, you just choose the secrets and the rest builds itself. And then I only changed Teacher for Van Cleef on the last day. So yeah, I don't know. Pretty simple. Just basically all I do in tournaments is especially in Swiss or in big tournaments, I think of what everyone is going to play. And in this case, it was Druid and Zoo. And I build a lineup that's decent against it and also decent against like other things. And I kind of tech cards to where I'll have an advantage. So like Double War is really good in the Druid mirror, right? And so is Sylvanas. So I'll take cards to try to help me without hurting too much of my other matchups. Like this deck is still really favored against Warrior. Yeah, that's all I do in tournaments. If you are interested in the competitive scene or something like that, just get the expected fields, build decks that are good against it. Once you get into the higher rounds and you're allowed to change your decks, maybe change it up to like Tempo Mage because you're like, oh, there's going to be a ton of Druid and I need to beat Druid because it's last year standing. So this will work. That's it. I don't know. This probably wouldn't have worked in the group stages. I think Tempo Mage is a little too inconsistent, especially with how much Secret Paladin and Patron I expected. I didn't expect Tempo Mage to be very good in the groups.